Have you ever wondered why some women seem to draw desire from the air itself? Why their presence lingers long after they've left the room? Why men and women alike find themselves haunted by their memory? There are truths hidden beneath the surface of polite society that Marcus Aurelius never wrote in his meditations. Truths that pulse in the shadows between logic and longing, in the forbidden spaces where stoicism and seduction entwine. These are not the thoughts of emperors for public display, but the secret flames that burn in the private corridors of the psyche, where the forbidden and the irresistible merge. In the silent hours before dawn, when the world is stripped of its distractions, a woman may feel the ache of something ancient stirring within her. She senses, perhaps for the first time, that her power does not come from how she is perceived, but from the depths of her own unspoken knowing. The world has taught her to seek approval, to soften her edges, to be agreeable and pleasing. Yet, beneath the mask, there is a wildness, a storm of desire and defiance that Marcus Aurelius himself would have recognized, though he never dared inscribe it in ink. Every woman carries within her a shadow, a collection of forbidden thoughts and secret hungers she has been taught to suppress. The Stoic philosophers spoke of taming the passions, of mastering the self, yet even the most disciplined mind cannot extinguish the primal force that shapes attraction. It is this very tension, the dance between control and surrender, that electrifies the air around her. When she learns to sit with her own darkness, to gaze unflinching into the abyss of her desires and fears, she becomes magnetic in ways that defy explanation. Consider the archetype of the Empress, the woman who has integrated her shadow and wears her scars as jewels. She does not beg for validation, nor does she shrink from her own intensity. Instead, she walks through life with the quiet certainty of one who has made peace with her contradictions. She knows that true power is not the absence of vulnerability, but the courage to reveal it selectively, to those who have earned the right to witness her depths. In her silence there is an invitation, a challenge to meet her on the battlefield of authenticity. The forbidden thoughts Marcus Aurelius never wrote down are the ones that flicker in the eyes of such women. They are the thoughts that whisper, "You may admire me, but you cannot possess me. You may desire me, but you must earn the right to touch my soul." This is the paradox of attraction. The more a woman claims her own sovereignty, the more others are drawn to her. She becomes the mirror in which others glimpse their own longing for wholeness, their own hunger for meaning. In the realm of forbidden psychology, desire is not a commodity to be traded, but a force to be honored. It is the spark that ignites transformation, the crucible in which ego and shadow collide. The woman who understands this does not chase after love or approval. She stands at the center of her own storm, unafraid to be misunderstood. Her silence is not emptiness, but a wellspring of mystery, a space where others project their fantasies, their regrets, their unmet needs. When a woman embodies this stoic detachment, she becomes a paradox, both a sanctuary and a challenge, both nurturing and untouchable. The men who encounter her may find themselves obsessed, not with her body alone, but with the enigma she represents. They sense that she's not a prize to be won, but a force to be reckoned with, a living embodiment of the forbidden thoughts Marcus Aurelius never dared confess. In her presence the masks fall away, and what remains is raw, unfiltered yearning. Yet this power is not without its price. To walk the path of individuation, the journey from girlhood to sovereign womanhood, demands a willingness to confront the shadows inherited from generations past. It requires the courage to name the wounds that have shaped her, to reclaim the parts of herself that were once deemed too much, too wild, too dangerous. The woman who does this work becomes a vessel for transformation, both for herself and for those drawn into her orbit. There is a reason why silence, when wielded with intention, is so alluring. In a world that demands constant performance, the woman who can sit quietly in her own presence radiates a confidence that cannot be faked. Her silence is not a void to be filled, but a canvas upon which others paint their desires and fears. She understands that true intimacy is not born from words, but from the willingness to be seen without armor, to hold space for the complexity of human emotion. The forbidden thoughts Marcus Aurelius never wrote down are not instructions, they are invitations. Invitations to step beyond the boundaries of what is acceptable, to explore the edges of one's own psyche, to dance with the unknown. They are the thoughts that ask, what if you stopped apologizing for your depth? What if you allowed yourself to be fully seen, even in your darkness? What if your greatest source of attraction was your refusal to be tamed? These questions are not for the faint of heart. They demand a reckoning with the ego, a willingness to let go of the need for control. They require the humility to acknowledge that true power comes not from domination, but from surrender. The surrender to one's own truth, no matter how inconvenient or uncomfortable. In this surrender, a woman finds her freedom, and in her freedom, she becomes irresistible. The world is full of women who have been taught to fear their own power, to hide their intelligence, to downplay their ambition. Yet, the forbidden psychology that drives true attraction is rooted in the reclamation of these very qualities. The woman who dares to own her desires, to speak her truth, to set boundaries that protect her peace, becomes a beacon for those who are ready to meet her on equal ground. In the end, the most magnetic women are not those who fit neatly into society's expectations, but those who have the courage to defy them. They are the ones who have looked into the mirror of their own soul and refused to turn away. They are the living embodiment of the forbidden thoughts Marcus Aurelius never wrote down, thoughts that challenge, provoke, and ultimately liberate. To those who would draw near, she offers no guarantees, no promises of easy comfort. Instead, she offers the possibility of transformation, the chance to become more than what one has been. In her presence, the old stories fall away, and a new narrative begins. A narrative in which desire is not a weakness, but a gateway to self-discovery. She becomes the storm and the shelter, the question and the answer, the flame and the darkness that gives it definition. To observe her is to witness a living paradox. She is at once deeply feeling and serenely detached, her emotional landscape as vast as the sea and as unyielding as the mountains. This is the woman who has learned the art of emotional alchemy, who transmutes pain into wisdom, longing into power, and silence into a language more eloquent than words. Those who encounter her often find themselves disarmed, stripped of pretense, compelled to confront the parts of themselves they have hidden from the world. In the depths of her gaze there is a mirror, a reflection of the collective unconscious, where archetypes and ancestral memories swirl beneath the surface. She does not seek to be understood by all. Rather, she invites only those who are willing to journey into the unknown, to risk the vulnerability that true intimacy demands. The forbidden thoughts Marcus Aurelius never wrote down are the silent codes she lives by, the rules of engagement for those who wish to enter her world. These are not the thoughts of submission or compliance, but the fierce declarations of self-possession that ripple through every gesture, every pause, every deliberate act of restraint. Ego, in her presence, is both challenged and healed. For the men who orbit her, there is an unspoken recognition that their usual strategies, charm, bravado, conquest, hold little sway here. She is not impressed by surface displays, nor is she seduced by empty promises. Instead, she listens for the resonance of authenticity, the subtle vibrations of integrity that cannot be counterfeited. To win her attention is to be seen, not for what one pretends to be, but for what one truly is beneath the armor. This is the crucible of attraction, the sacred tension between longing and letting go, between the desire to possess and the necessity of surrender. The forbidden psychology at play is not manipulation, but revelation. She reveals, by her very presence, the inadequacy of superficial games. She calls forth the deeper masculine, the part that is unafraid to face its own shadows, to admit its own wounds, to stand naked in the light of her gaze. In this space, attraction transcends the physical and becomes a meeting of souls, a mutual recognition of strength and vulnerability. For women watching, there is a lesson in this archetype, a call to remember the parts of themselves they have traded for acceptance. Too often, the world teaches women to shrink, to accommodate, to erase the aspects of themselves that threaten the status quo. Yet, the forbidden thoughts Marcus Aurelius never wrote down were never meant for public consumption. They were meant as secret maps, guiding those brave enough to reclaim their wholeness. The journey is not without peril. It demands that a woman confront her own complicity in her diminishment, that she grieve the years spent seeking validation from those unworthy of her truth. And yet, in the ashes of that grief, something miraculous emerges, the unbreakable core of self-worth that cannot be given or taken away. It is forged in silence, tested in solitude, and revealed in moments of radical honesty. The woman who possesses this core becomes immune to the whims of external approval. Her value is self-generated, her boundaries non-negotiable, her presence a testament to the power of individuation. She stands alone, not in isolation, but in the fullness of her own being, an invitation to others to do the same. The men who are drawn to her often find themselves at a crossroads. They must choose between the comfort of old patterns and the challenge of growth. The forbidden psychology that governs this dynamic is not about playing hard to get, but about embodying the truth that true connection can only occur between equals. She does not lower herself to be chosen. She waits for those who rise to meet her. In this way, she becomes the catalyst for transformation, the spark that ignites the journey from boyhood to manhood, from superficiality to substance. There is a sacredness to her solitude, a holiness in her refusal to settle for less than she deserves. She is not lonely, for she has made peace with her own company. Her silence is not emptiness, but a sanctuary, a place where she communes with the deepest parts of herself. In this sanctuary, she tends to her wounds, honors her desires, and cultivates the resilience that comes from facing life on her own terms. She's not immune to pain, but she's no longer defined by it. Her scars are not sources of shame, but badges of honor, evidence of battles fought and won. For those who would approach her, there is a price to be paid, the price of authenticity. She will not tolerate deception, nor will she indulge in the games that pass for romance in a world obsessed with surfaces. She seeks instead the rare and precious connection that can only be forged in the fires of mutual respect. To earn her trust is to be initiated into a deeper way of loving, one that honors both the masculine and the feminine, both strength and vulnerability, both desire and detachment. The forbidden thoughts Marcus Aurelius never wrote down are alive in her every breath, her every movement, her every choice. They are the silent prayers she offers to the universe, the unspoken vows she makes to herself. They are the source of her allure, the reason why those who meet her cannot forget her. She is not for everyone, nor does she wish to be. She is for those who are willing to do the work, to face the darkness within, to rise to the challenge of loving without possession. In a world that rewards conformity, she is a living act of rebellion. Her very existence is a testament to the power of self-knowledge, to the beauty of a woman who refuses to be tamed. She is the embodiment of forbidden wisdom, the living proof that true attraction is not about pleasing others, but about honoring oneself. Those who encounter her are forever changed, marked by the memory of a woman who dared to live by her own rules. In the hush that follows her departure, the world seems a little less vivid, the air a little heavier with the weight of possibility lost. She leaves behind not just the memory of a face or a voice, but the lingering echo of a question. What would it mean to live with such unapologetic presence? To claim one's place in the world without shrinking, without compromise? The forbidden thoughts Marcus Aurelius never wrote down are the ones that invite this question to take root, to germinate in the fertile soil of the soul, to blossom into a new way of being. For the woman who walks this path, there is no turning back. Once she's tasted the freedom of self-possession, the old ways of seeking approval feel hollow and brittle. She no longer measures her worth by the gaze of others, nor does she barter her authenticity for fleeting affection. Instead, she becomes the architect of her own destiny, the author of her own myth. Her life is not a performance for the benefit of spectators, but a sacred ritual, a daily act of devotion to the truth of who she is. In the realm of forbidden psychology, attraction is not a game of strategy, but a dance of energies, a wordless conversation between souls. The woman who has embraced her own darkness becomes fluent in this language. She knows that desire is not something to be apologized for, but a force to be harnessed, a current to be ridden. She does not fear the intensity of her own longing, nor does she shrink from the vulnerability it requires. Instead, she wears her desire openly, as a badge of honor, a testament to her willingness to live fully and without regret. Others may try to imitate her, to mimic the outward signs of her confidence, but they soon discover that true magnetism cannot be faked. It is not a matter of posture or tone or carefully chosen words. It is the product of inner work, the slow, sometimes painful process of shedding illusions, of facing the parts of oneself that have been buried or denied. The forbidden thoughts Marcus Aurelius never wrote down are the guideposts on this journey, the secret instructions for those who are willing to do the work. Jung spoke of the shadow, the repository of all that we reject, all that we fear, all that we are ashamed to claim as our own. For a woman, the shadow often contains her anger, her ambition, her sexuality, her hunger for power and recognition. These are the qualities the world has told her to hide, to soften, to dilute. Yet, in the alchemy of individuation, these very qualities become her greatest assets. When she integrates her shadow, she becomes whole, and in her wholeness she radiates a power that cannot be contained. It is this power that others find so intoxicating, so unsettling. They sense that she is not here to play by the usual rules, that she cannot be manipulated or controlled. She is not afraid to walk away, not out of spite or indifference, but out of a deep respect for herself. Her boundaries are not walls but gates, open to those who come in good faith, closed to those who would do her harm. She is not interested in half measures or empty promises. She seeks only what is real, what is true, what is worthy of her time and attention. For those who would approach her, the invitation is clear. Bring your whole self, or do not come at all. She has no patience for masks or performances, no tolerance for those who seek to use her as a prop in their own stories. She demands presence, honesty, vulnerability. She wants to see the man behind the armor, the soul behind the eyes. She wants to know what you fear, what you long for, what you're willing to risk in the pursuit of something greater than comfort. This is the essence of the forbidden psychology Marcus Aurelius never dared to write, that true attraction is born not of need but of abundance. The woman who knows her worth does not seek to complete herself through another. She seeks only to share the fullness of her being with those who can meet her there. She is not afraid to be alone, for she has learned that solitude is not a punishment but a privilege, a time to grow, to heal, to become ever more herself. In her presence, others are invited to do the same. She becomes a catalyst for transformation, a mirror in which others see their own potential reflected. She does not rescue or fix or save, she simply holds space for the unfolding of truth. Her love is not a reward for good behavior, but a recognition of shared values, shared courage, shared willingness to face the unknown. The forbidden thoughts Marcus Aurelius never wrote down are the ones that remind us of our own power, our own agency, our own capacity for greatness. They are the thoughts that whisper, "You are enough, exactly as you are. You do not need to earn your place in this world. You need only claim it." For the woman who takes this message to heart, there is no limit to what she can become. She is free, not because she has no fear, but because she has learned to move through her fear with grace and determination. She is the embodiment of the Stoic ideal, not the cold, emotionless statue, but the living, breathing force of nature who feels deeply and chooses wisely. Her detachment is not indifference, but discernment. Her silence is not absence, but presence. She is both the question and the answer, the mystery and the revelation. In her, the forbidden and the sacred are one and the same. There is a certain gravity to her, an invisible force that bends the space around her, drawing others closer even as she remains serenely unmoved at her centre. This is not the gravity of need, but the gravity of wholeness, a completeness that radiates from the woman who has reconciled her light with her shadow. In her presence, the ordinary becomes charged with meaning, every glance and gesture a silent invocation to authenticity. Those who meet her gaze sense that they are being seen, perhaps for the first time, not as fragments or roles, but as entire complex beings. The forbidden thoughts Marcus Aurelius never wrote down are the ones that pulse beneath the surface of every true encounter. The silent recognition that attraction is not about conquest, but about revelation. It is the revelation of the self, stripped of pretense, trembling with the vulnerability of being truly known. For the woman who has done her shadow work, who has faced the monsters in her own depths and emerged stronger, there is no greater aphrodisiac than truth. She is not seduced by flattery or gifts or grand gestures. What moves her is the courage to show up, to risk rejection for the sake of connection, to offer one's heart without guarantee of return. She is the living embodiment of the Stoic paradox, to desire without attachment, to love without losing oneself, to give without expectation. In this, she's both muse and master, both the inspiration and the one who sets the terms. She does not demand devotion, but she inspires it, not through manipulation, but through the sheer force of her presence. Her power lies not in what she withholds, but in what she embodies, a fierce, unwavering commitment to her own truth. For many, this is unsettling. The world is accustomed to women who bend, who accommodate, who make themselves small so that others can feel large. But she's not here to soothe egos or play supporting roles in someone else's drama. She's here to live her own myth, to write her own story, to claim her own destiny. The forbidden psychology at work is not about exclusion, but about invitation, an invitation to rise, to meet her on the field of authenticity, to lay down the weapons of pretense and stand unguarded in the light. In her orbit, the old games lose their power. The strategies of seduction that rely on scarcity or insecurity fall flat, exposed for the hollow tricks they are. She's not impressed by those who seek to impress. She is moved by those who dare to be real. Her attention is a rare currency, given only to those who have earned it through honesty and effort. She does not chase, nor does she allow herself to be chased. Instead, she chooses, deliberately, consciously, without apology. The men who are drawn to her often find themselves transformed, sometimes unwillingly, sometimes against their own expectations. They discover that the only way to win her is to become worthy of her, not in the eyes of the world, but in the quiet reckoning of their own souls. She does not demand perfection, but she does demand presence, a willingness to engage, to listen, to grow. She is not afraid of conflict, for she knows that true intimacy is forged in the fires of disagreement and reconciliation. She invites challenge, not as a test, but as an opportunity for mutual evolution. For women who witness her, there is a stirring of recognition, a sense that something long forgotten is being awakened. She becomes a living permission slip, an embodied reminder that it is possible to be both strong and soft, both wild and wise, both sovereign and open to love. The forbidden thoughts Marcus Aurelius never wrote down are the ones that tell her it is safe to want, safe to need, safe to demand more from life and from those who would share it with her. She does not apologize for her standards, nor does she lower them to avoid being alone. She knows that solitude is not a curse, but a crucible, a place where the soul is tempered and refined. In the shadowed corners of her mind, she carries the lessons of heartbreak and betrayal, of disappointment and loss. She does not deny these wounds, nor does she allow them to define her. Instead, she weaves them into the tapestry of her being, transforming pain into wisdom, sorrow into compassion. She is not immune to suffering, but she's no longer enslaved by it. Her resilience is not the brittle armor of denial, but the supple strength of acceptance. The forbidden psychology that animates her is not about dominance or submission, but about partnership, an egalitarian meeting of minds, bodies, and spirits. She is not interested in being worshipped or obeyed. She seeks only to be met fully and without reservation. Her love is not a transaction, but a gift, freely given, fiercely protected, never squandered on those who do not value it. She knows that to love is to risk, to open oneself to the possibility of loss, but she would rather risk everything than live a life of quiet desperation. In her, the wisdom of the ancients and the urgency of the present moment converge. She is both timeless and utterly contemporary, a bridge between what has been and what could be. The forbidden thoughts Marcus Aurelius never wrote down are the ones that pulse in her blood, that shape her choices, that guide her steps. She is a force of nature, unstoppable and uncontainable, a living testament to the power of becoming. And so, she moves through the world with a kind of sacred indifference, a detachment that is not cold but clear. She is not untouched by emotion, but she refuses to be ruled by it. Her heart is open, yet fiercely guarded. Her mind is sharp, yet softened by compassion. She's learned that her depths are not a burden, but a gift, and she offers them only to those who approach with reverence. The forbidden thoughts Marcus Aurelius never wrote down are now the silent mantras guiding her. My worth is not up for negotiation. I do not chase, I attract. Intimacy is earned, not given by default. I am the guardian of my own peace. Desire is my compass, not my master. These truths are not spoken aloud, but they permeate her every interaction. She does not seek to convince or convert, she simply is. Her authenticity acts as a filter, drawing in those who resonate, repelling those who do not. She is not afraid of being misunderstood, for she understands herself. She is not afraid of being alone, for she cherishes her own company. She does not fear rejection, for she knows that every no is a redirection, every closed door a blessing in disguise. To the men who encounter her, she is both invitation and challenge. She does not ask them to be perfect, but she insists they be real. She is not impressed by bravado or status. She is moved by vulnerability, by the courage it takes to show up honestly. She offers no guarantees, no roadmap, no script. The journey with her is one of discovery, of mutual growth, of facing the unknown together. Those who cannot bear the uncertainty fall away, leaving only those who are willing to risk the discomfort that comes with true intimacy. For other women, she's a beacon, a living example that it is possible to honour one's own needs without apology, to set boundaries without guilt, to love without losing oneself. She does not compete, she uplifts. She does not gossip. She guards the dignity of others as fiercely as her own. She knows that real power is quiet, that true confidence is humble, that the most seductive thing in the world is a woman at peace with herself. She is not the exception. She is the possibility. The forbidden psychology that animates her is available to any woman willing to do the work, to face her shadows, claim her desires, and trust her own worth. It is not a path for the faint of heart, but for those who choose it. The rewards are immeasurable. Freedom, fulfillment, and a love that is both rare and real. In this way, the forbidden thoughts Marcus Aurelius never wrote down continue to live, not in the pages of ancient philosophy, but in the hearts and lives of women who dare to embody them. They are the secret fire, the hidden spring, the unspoken promise that you can be both desired and free, both loving and sovereign, both whole and open to more. And so, the story continues. Not just for her, but for anyone courageous enough to claim their own forbidden wisdom and to live it unapologetically in the light of day. Now, the invitation is yours. Will you dare to look beyond the surface, to meet your own shadow with honesty and courage? Will you claim your worth, set your boundaries, and honour your deepest desires without apology? Will you choose to live as the author of your own story, not as a character in someone else's script? The forbidden wisdom is not reserved for the few. It is waiting for anyone bold enough to reach for it. So, take a breath. Step into your own power. Let your presence be felt. Let your silence speak. Let your truth be known. Are you ready to become the living embodiment of the wisdom Marcus Aurelius never wrote down? If so, the journey begins now, and the world is waiting to meet the real you.